Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rob Has a Podcast. We are live after the Eviction episode of Big Brother Canada 6. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Melissa Deni. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm good. This was an action-packed, thrilling, exciting episode today, and we have tons to talk about, so it's going to be great.
I'm loving the energy. It's great. Also with me today is my American Ninja Warrior co-host and frequent live feed updater, Lita. How you doing, Lita?
Yo, Taran, drop a beat like your name is Marin. No, just kidding. I'm going to save all of the completely embarrassing rapping for the house, for Hamza, for whoever wants to do it, because it's going to get very old very fast.
I mean, you said you were going to save it for them, but you did just say one thing that was a rap, and I'm already disappointed.
No one give that.
If you want to make fun of Lita's raps, make sure you are in the chat room that we have open on robhasawebsite.com. You can send questions into me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. So make sure you do that because I love questions. I love answering questions. I love reading questions. I love writing questions down. So make sure you send me questions. And we are here to talk about this episode of Big Brother Canada 6. So very excited to get to it. This was interesting episode, right? I think there was a lot that they had to show because there's been a lot of game going on. And I think they showed about 2% of it, Melissa.
Yeah, I was going to almost say none, but yeah, it was a very strange episode. I felt like it was a lot. It was like if you took every filler bit from every other episode and then combined them all into one episode, that would be this episode. It was a lot of like pranks and silly things and love triangles and love squares and, things like that, which, normally you would see that throughout the season, like spread out throughout the season, but we got it all in one episode today.
Yes, we did. And we ultimately see Andrew leave the house in a unanimous vote. Lita, were you sad to see Andrew go?
Not as sad as the audience seemed. I guess I always forget how they're like told to react to everything because they can't just be like, eh. But it's so weird hearing like people vote for Andrew and everybody be like, boo, because like, I don't know. I don't think it was surprising or particularly disappointing. I was getting very fed up with Andrew shouting in the confessionals about like, Canada, I'm doing this for you. It's like, okay, relax. Also, I can't believe, Melissa, you went through all of those BS segments and left out Lara Croft, which took up like 30 minutes of the episode.
It literally did. I felt like I think I've seen the whole movie now.
Yeah, there were spoilers.
That was more than enough. And I'm sure they were like, okay, make sure you react vocally to everything you're seeing. Because I mean, when you're sitting in a movie, you're not like, oh my gosh, jump over that girl. Like you don't comment on every single thing, or at least if you did, it would be so annoying. So yeah, that was a long segment. That was I guess that was essentially like half the episode.
But the point is, I was not super disappointed to see Andrew go here. I was a little bit over his whole shtick, and it's only been a few days.
I was, but only because he's in my draft.
Oh.
So that was unfortunate. I lost 2 draft people this week, one in Survivor and one in Big Brother, and that was sad.
Just losing them left and right.
That's kind of my thing now. Is to lose them all in the beginning and then keep one. The one remaining person gets out final 3 or right before the final 3. So
or they just they come very close to winning and then they lose to my person. Yeah.
It's a fun pattern we've got into.
So from my perspective, there's a lot of filler in this episode. So let's just kind of go through the different segments that we get. I think we ended up starting out with the Ryan has failed segment. Ryan, he attempted to have this master plan. The veto was not used. And now he is sulking alone in his room talking about how nobody likes him and nobody wants to talk to him. And this is we've come full circle on Ryan. He started out as the HOH. He seemed smart 2 episodes ago. And he had his downfall, and now he's hit rock bottom, Lita.
Yeah, and he has so many metaphors. He's like, when you're playing poker and you have your hands and your chips and you got to put them on the table, and then I'm also a man without a boat or a crew, and I'm going to be swept up like debris. And he's just so sad. It was so mournful and pathetic, just sitting alone in his room with no friends.
He's the Sebastian of Big Brother Canada.
Sebastian's metaphors are like fun and quirky. Andrew's aren't even, I mean, sorry. His aren't even like metaphors. He's just like, yeah, I guess when you want to win at poker, you need to play poker well. Like, that's not really a metaphor. That's just like a thing that's true. At least Sebastian invokes penguins and candy.
And well, yeah, well, but also when you're a duck, you paddle really hard under the surface, didn't you? I mean, that was a pretty quirky one, right?
I mean, yeah, that's also not super a metaphor. It's also just a fact of nature. I just think maybe this isn't Ryan's calling.
Well, he never said that he had a high IQ in making metaphors. He just said that he's an expert on the Big Brother game. So maybe you're being a little too hard on him here.
Okay.
He's also not that, though.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So
he certainly followed through on that.
It's not like he has that, though, going for him. So, but, poor Ryan. He made some major miscalculations and, had ended up getting out his ally, which and looking like an idiot at the same time. So I do feel for him, especially the fact that he really doesn't seem to fit in with anyone in the house at this point. And I don't really see him fitting in the future. I could see him kind of being dragged along a little bit further just because people are like, we're not going to waste a week on getting Ryan out. He's alone. But I don't see him really getting allies super easily at this point after his performance this week. So it's not looking great for him.
Well, I do see a question here from PL Mercier, which I definitely pronounced wrong, on Twitter, who asks, do you see Ryan becoming the Spencer Clausen of the season, meaning that he is nominated every week but not evicted until the end game? A lot of people made that comparison before he even entered the house, and now it seems like he might be in a position to occupy that spot. Do you think that could happen, Melissa?
It's totally possible. I mean, because at this point, people don't really care if he goes home or not. So they really won't care if they put him up on the block. But at the same time, they might not want to, like I said, waste their week to get him out. So it would be a really good pawn position to put him in. So I think that was actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, but he's also almost in a good season for that to not happen to him, at least for a couple more weeks, because there are so many tight pairs now that people are going to want to nominate pairs next to each other to make sure that one of them goes out. So I think that that's also a possibility that he sneaks by for a couple more weeks, just because people are looking at Ali and Olivia and people are looking at the showmance. So he might be protected there for a couple more weeks.
I think also the important thing is Ryan going to actually learn from this week, or is he just going to keep doing what he's been doing, which is clearly not working? So if he just shuts up and closes his mouth and, just tries to bond with people on a personal level, but leaves gaming far away at this point and doesn't speak to people in a condescending way, I think that he has a chance to stay in the game a little bit longer. But if he just goes right back to what he was doing and trying to coach people and tell them what to do and, guide them in certain ways in the game, then he's out of here.
Yeah, he talks about how being with no allies makes him super disposable. But right now, being a complete loner when the house is so split is not the worst thing for him. Mm-hmm. As soon as he picks a side, that's when he's in trouble.
Yes, it's also being pointed out to me in the chat that I can't speak French. That is correct, person in the chat, who I will not attempt to pronounce your name because I don't want to reveal any other languages I don't know. So moving on, we had, I think, one of the few strategy segments on the show where Will was talking to Marin and then goes on to describe the divide in the house that seems to be based on the rooms that people are sleeping in, which is kind of a description of how the house lies, but not really. And they definitely didn't get into too much detail. But ultimately, I found it interesting that Will was the one describing this. He said that the cool people, they're in the red room, and we're the outcasts. We're the ones on the outside. And Marin is stuck in there with them. But we're trying to form together. We're trying to make something happen. Which this seems to be the storyline that the show is setting up. Which might make it a little weird when they move into next week, and this is not how the house is laying it all, Melissa.
I also thought it was funny that they picked Will to describe it, considering he has like the strongest, most hard to understand accent out of everybody. So to pick him to do this long, drawn out description of what's going on in the house was really funny. But I understood everything he said for once, and I think that it's a very simplified way of thinking about it, but it's probably the easiest way to explain it. So even though it doesn't really go through all the nuances, I think that it had to be said just so that way they understood why certain people were, gravitating towards other people and why certain people were gravitating towards other people. So yeah, I think that they're going to have to end up doing a little bit of reshuffling of the way they're describing things just once we see how it all plays out next week.
Yeah, I imagine what will happen is if somebody is targeted that doesn't make sense along the lines of red room versus white room, then they'll do a flashback and be like, well, this is what happened to cause this person to be in trouble. Just like they basically did for this week with Andrew, which kind of puts us in a weird spot because there's live feed stuff, a ton of live feed information from this week that they just haven't aired yet. So is it spoilery to tell you who's going to be targeted when they've had no indication that they're going to be targeted in the episodes yet? I don't really know the answer to that. I mean, theoretically not, usually not, but when the show leaves you this much in the dark, it's hard to say.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, it's weird to me that on my most recent update, I was talking about there's a lot of female-driven action, which is really exciting. And then you get to the show, and it's Will being like, "Oh yeah, we're not the popular kids." It's okay, why does Will need a whole segment talking? And we do not see Paris this entire episode except to be like, "No, you can go talk to this boy." This episode did not pass the Bechdel test, even though the entire week it's been mostly women dictating the strategy.
I know that's the thing is yeah, I did notice that. And when Will was saying we've got some great gamers on our side, we got people raring to go. It's me and Hamza and Marin. And it was you're totally leaving out Paris and Maddie, who are huge in the strategy on the live feeds. So yeah, it totally was are you serious? I expected him to at least call out Maddie because him and Maddie are pretty close. So I thought he was going to call Maddie out when it came to these are the guys or whatever. And instead it's just oh no, wait, these are the guys actually. So a little disappointing considering that most of the action is really being driven by the women on the live feeds.
Yeah, it's very strange. Just I guess the people only watching the show have no idea that Maddie, Paris, and Will are a tight trio, and that Paris is playing both sides between those three and Derek, Kayla, and Jesse, and they don't know about this underground movement. I guess they kind of know now that the white room is kind of banding together against the red room, but they don't know that the red room is starting to eat themselves, and that's why we're probably going to be talking about how Olivia and Allie are in a lot of danger in this coming week. So a lot of stuff being left out, and it's being left out for segments like watching Tomb Raider.
Are we skipping the haircut?
Well, the haircut, see, look, I wanted to make a point about how irrelevant it was, and I felt like the haircuts, there would be somebody in the chat that was like, I liked the haircut because it was kind of cute.
The haircut, the snowman, the knocking on doors, the tinfoil, the Tomb Raider, what else? There's got to be more. I know there's more.
The haircut was kind of cute. He ends up getting that Macklemore haircut that everybody in my undergrad philosophy classes have.
Yeah.
It actually didn't look so bad.
I mean, I agree. I think that it ended up looking all right. Maybe not super great from the back, but from the front, it looks great. But I just don't understand why people do this to themselves, where they go into the house knowing that they're going to need a haircut soon, or maybe he just wanted to change up the look, but then trusting somebody to cut their hair when you're going to be spending theoretically the next 56 days in the house on television, and this is like how people are going to know you for the rest of your life, like this image of you, and you're trusting your hair to just a random person that has never cut hair before.
It symbolized their bond. It was a metaphor for how they're overly trusting, and that was the downfall of their game. It was beautiful storytelling.
At least
I
it's
need more
not a
vanity.
Polly Calafiore haircut.
It's like basically the same idea, though, of like the shaved side. Yeah.
Well, and it is the same idea in that that was the Polly Calafiore one was a symbol of the PP alliance.
Wow, haircuts are always symbols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brother.
Let me just advice for any future house guest: you don't need a haircut as a symbol. You're gonna have to live with that for the rest of your time in the house.
Cut your hair beforehand.
Yeah, there's a reason that was like one of the ultimate punishments for winning a veto competition back in the day. Like this is not good.
And wear a hat if necessary.
Yes, yeah, if necessary. But this was a cute moment. I think the relationship between Andrew and Hamza, it's nice that they got some bit of it here. I think that, honestly, they could have even showed more of this. They had a pretty fun relationship, but unfortunately, there was a lot of strategy to show, or there was a lot of other, nonsense to show. So we end up moving on to Erica taking Hamza to watch Tomb Raider, as we talked about. Erica, she sees herself as Lara Croft. Don't you, Melissa?
Well, I don't, but I could see her as Lara Croft.
No, definitely.
Especially during the competition, that was great. But yeah, this was just long. This was long, and like I get why they did it. I know that they weren't like, this is so thrilling and fun for the audience. They're going to love this segment. I mean, obviously it was for the advertisement, but it's just like, all right, like checking my watch, like let's move this along. That's enough.
Yeah.
This movie has garbage reviews. I had never heard of it until yesterday. I really don't like that actress because the only thing I've seen her in, Alicia Vikander, the only thing I've seen her in is The Danish Girl, which I did not like. And Angelina Jolie is my Lara Croft, and that is all of my Lara Croft thoughts for the night.
I don't know. It's got a 7.
Ex Machina.
Is she in that? No, I didn't see it.
She's the robot.
Oh,
Okay,
that's where she's from.
Yeah. Right? Am I wrong? Now
it's a great movie.
I feel like I'm confused. But no, like that's her, right? But yeah, that's a great movie.
It's got a 7.2 on IMDb right now. And yes, it was Ava from Ex Machina.
Yeah.
All right, well, the critics that I read did not like it.
You mean you don't trust the horde of IMDb users?
I really do. Oh, is that like the popular score? That's like the people score? No,
Yes.
Stop it. That's not. No.
You have to go by Rotten Tomatoes.
No.
Not even that,
If you
no.
know how to read IMDb, it's the best source, I promise. I grew up on it. All right. Moving on.
No, we can't move on. We have to dedicate at least half the episode, according to our advertisers.
I mean, It's crazy that they get to leave the house, though. Like, I feel like that, like we've kind of talked this to death this year about people leaving the house and coming back for various reasons. But like, at first I was like, well, why would Hamza, who's on the block, want to be away from the house at this time? But then I'm also thinking, like, just for your mental health and like your longevity of the game, I feel like it would be really nice to just like see other people through car windows and stuff and be like, I still exist in humanity. Also,
they were talking about it on the live feeds and then they were cut off, but somebody actually recognized Hamza and came up to him and was like, are you Hamza from Big Brother? And he told them no, because I guess he's not supposed to tell them yes. But like the fact that people were that close and were able to come up to them, I mean, clearly it wasn't done super by the books when
someone could have shouted information.
They absolutely. They could have been walking along. Someone could have recognized him and been like, "Oh my God, watch out for so and so" or whatever.
You only get to leave the house to go play Candy Crush.
That is the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they need to be a little more careful. There should be no situation where they're getting recognized. They should be wearing like bags over their head or something. It's just something like usually they disguise them in some way. I know there were some people that talked about seeing Christmas in the hospital when she was there, but at least that was like a necessary, although I guess some people wouldn't say necessary to keep her in the game, but necessary thing for her to be in a hospital. And they seemed to keep that relatively under wraps.
It wasn't necessary for them to go see this movie. Is that what you're saying? That's controversial.
Well, like it was probably necessary for their budget.
Yeah.
All right. So, moving on, we had the snowman segment. They go outside, they're making a snowman. It's all great. And I was getting ready to be really annoyed, but then they did end up showing the Maddie talking to the cameras part, which I enjoyed. I was happy to see that on the show. This was a great moment on the live feeds where Maddie talks about just how grateful she is to be there, how excited and happy she is, and that she feels like she can't tell people how much she knows about the show, how much she loves the show, but she just wanted to express that in this moment. She's feeling so great. It's beautiful with the snow. This is a great moment, Lita.
Did you get a single tear in your eye?
Like tears in the rain. Yes.
Yeah, this was nice, but I didn't understand. She was like, I can't talk about how much I know about season 1, but I have flashcards about season 1. Why? Why do you have flashcards about season 1?
Kevin Martin had a whole binder, so if that's where she's coming from, that's probably a good thing.
I guess just take a Sporkle quiz.
Yeah, no, I liked this moment. I liked watching it on the feeds. It made me, realize that not realize, I guess I already knew, but it was really cool how much she cared about the show and how excited she was to be there. And also I did like, though, that she clarified that while she loves the fact that she's on the show, that's not enough for her. She wants to win, which was really good to hear, because a lot of people are like, okay, now I'm on the show. That's really all I needed. I've basically done it. I've made it. Let's just see how long I can go. But she's got her eye on the prize and she wants to win, which is really important.
Yeah,
Yes.
She said she's not going to settle for the experience, which I thought was like a good way of putting it. Also, did you guys see that video on Twitter of Maddie's friend? Maddie's friend posted a video of Maddie's reaction when she found out that Big Brother Canada was coming back, and she's like fully crying, just like when it was renewed as a show.
That was great.
Yeah, it's so nice.
The person running Maddie's Twitter account is doing a very good job. Like interacting with people. Yeah, and also they recently posted a binder or a packet of their own that Maddie had left them. That was basically like, here's your preparation for when I'm on the show. Here's a list of people that have it out for me that may come out of the woodwork and post screenshots of things like
that's so funny.
Separated by high school era, and then starting.
Yeah,
how many enemies does she have? Oh my god!
I have no idea, but I want to read that packet so bad. It's also like I guess it like goes through all like the requirements, so it's like you should tweet this out or like don't tweet stuff like this or whatever, and it looks like it. I want to read it. It looks great.
Everybody should be following the Maddie BB Can 6 Twitter account. Doing a great job. Very, very prepared, clearly. If Maddie turns out being to be the next Kevin Martin, just stamping through these competitions, then I will not be surprised. Moving on, we had a segment about about Allie. We can't skip Allie fooling around with Will, knocking on the door. I mean, I guess this is character building. I think they really want us to invest in Will. I think they really see him as the next John Party, and that's why he's describing the layout of the house. And now he's getting like the fun, people are messing with me segments. But I don't have anything against these segments in general. I just felt like there were a lot of them in this episode, and there was so much to show us that was left on the table. What did you feel?
Being messed with is not a personality building trait. Like, that is a passive action. You cannot control like being pranked. It's not something that they need to be using to show us like, oh, he's so relatable. He jumps when people scare him. Like,
that's literally what I was gonna say. Like,
he literally cannot control his behavior. If anything, this was, I guess, a character building for like Allie, but it's not, because it's nothing. This is nothing.
Seeing a big guy like Will like jump and take it really well when he's pranked, it just adds to his lovability.
Can you imagine? Okay, how would someone not take this well? Like, it's someone spooking you by jumping out of a door. What is he gonna do? Like, it's not a super like invasive or disruptive prank. It doesn't show that he's like a great sport because he doesn't like scream at a woman for doing this.
I just think it's funny that they focus so much on Will when literally I don't pay any attention to him on the feeds at all. His stuff is not interesting to me at all. So I always just watch everybody else. And I feel like he really doesn't play that big of a role so far in really anything. So I think it's pretty funny that they were so focused on him this episode.
Boys that tall sometimes don't have a personality because being that tall like is their thing. They already have an interesting thing about them.
Oh my, really coming for Will here, Lita.
Sorry, I think he's really boring, and I think it's annoying that he's being completely shoved down our throats as viewers.
Yeah, Andrew and Court say, oh, well, maybe if he wore glasses, things would be different.
Maybe he should try it out.
Yeah.
Also, Lita, you asked, how do you respond poorly to a prank? I'm trying to remember. I feel like Michelle, Big Meech, I feel like her response to a prank, I don't remember what the prank was, but was like throwing an apple at Paul and then crying about it. That's probably a pretty bad way to respond to a prank.
But that was like her response to a prank that she did and then felt so bad about that she started crying. That's not really the same thing.
Yeah. So I feel like it was the whole punked thing. People responded poorly on punked, and then people responded well on punked. And I feel like people judge celebrities because of that.
Okay, there's a huge difference between stuff that they did on punked and jumping out at someone from behind a door, which happens to me semi-frequently.
Mastermind. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. So we next get a segment about Ryan trying to flip the vote against Hamza. He's talking to everyone in the hot tub, and he's just I don't know what he's thinking here. At this point, he's totally lost control of everything, but he's still going for it. He's still saying like, no, we got to get out Hamza. This is how things should be going. It's that Hamza is a better competitor, and you need to be taking him out of the house. And as soon as he leaves, they're all just like, oh my God, they're so done with this, Melissa.
Yeah, he's going about it totally the wrong way if he wants to influence anything. I mean, at this point, he should know that him pretending like he knows more than everybody else is not going to work. He needs to talk to people individually and not act like he knows more than them, but maybe hint at certain things. Like I know I keep bringing up Derek, but you know, the way he did a lot of stuff in Big Brother 16 was like so impressive, where he would make people believe that something he wanted them to do was their idea. And I mean, obviously it takes a lot of skill to pull that off, which I don't know that Ryan possesses, but you know, he should know at this point that all of his previous tactics don't work. And not only that, he really doesn't have a leg to stand on when it comes to who's going home between Andrew and Hamza. He just needs to lay back and forget about it, because right now he's in a really bad position and he should just let it lie. Just give up at this point, like about who's going home. Just wait, lay low, and then see how next week goes.
Could you imagine if Derek had just been like, no, guys, listen, I know everything about this game. Just trust me. Stick to the plan. Don't question what I'm saying.
Derek could be out like week 1.
Yeah, I mean, if Derek was that person, he would be Devin. So it's...
yeah.
First of all, I love that we found an impression that Taran does in Ryan. It's very exciting to me because it's very not different from your regular voice.
I'm really great at all the boring impressions. I was great at Cody last season too.
Like talking slowly.
I did also enjoy the angry Matt impression as well.
Yes.
Which I won't whip out at a moment.
That was a good one, yeah.
Every once in a while.
But let's never hear that again.
I still love seeing the
it makes me so uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable when I watch those clips of it, because like it's so just so cringeworthy. It is so bad. It makes my whole body tense up.
Okay, you know, an episode was boring when we're like, remember Matt Kleins when he provided us entertainment? Wow, he was such a good character. Well, I was gonna say that Ryan's like take on this in confessional, which I don't think even he believes, is like, why not cause a little chaos? Which, like, his version of chaos is like saying something and then leaving the room and everybody being like, that guy sucks. Like, no one likes what he's saying. It's not causing chaos. That is some spin that would make a dreidel jealous, my aunt used to say. It's wild. And it's just like his ego that, like, I don't even think he's buying into. He's just like trying to look good in confessional and look good to Canada and just be like, ha ha ha, I have nothing to lose, so I'm just gonna like stir everything up by trying to flip the vote, but it's not stirring anything.
Yeah. Yes, which is interesting because like he tries to like he completely comes off as a complete failure in this hot tub conversation, but I think it's very difficult to spin the House meeting that results from it as something that didn't kind of turn out in his favor, because Veronica decides to gather everyone together. Family meeting, guys. Family meeting. I've known you for 4 days, but family meeting. And she calls him out in front of everyone. And honestly, if anything, this edit was a little generous to Veronica. And I do think they kind of made it out to be that, Ryan, he did get people to start looking around, and maybe it was kind of a battle of wills against the two of them, but Veronica really, it fell flat, the whole House meeting, and some people came away kind of feeling like, I do kind of feel sorry for Ryan a little bit. He is annoying though, but he's harmless. Like, look, everyone is against him. He's isolated. No, like, after this House meeting, I don't think a single person talked about targeting Ryan, Melissa.
Yeah, no, when I was watching the House meeting, I thought that it went really well for him. I mean, I thought that he was able to deflect all the stuff that she was trying to throw at him. And I felt like, just overall, I thought he carried himself really well. He didn't get heated. He didn't get upset. He said, look, I'm glad you brought it up to me, but, you're ridiculous. And essentially, and especially when he said, maybe you guys aren't seeing this 7-person alliance or whatever, but you should be seeing that there are pairs of 2 people, pairs of 3 people, not pairs of 3 people, I guess, whatever, 3 people together, groups of 3 people, and that those are the ones you have to look out for. And if you're not a part of that, if you're not a part of any pairs or triplets, then you should watch out. And I thought that it honestly went really well for him. So I'm glad that they portrayed that in the edit as well, rather than just, trying to pile on and make him look stupid, especially because I think, if anything, Veronica came off looking poorly after that, because after that, people were like, okay, acts like she's so tough. She talks a big game. She said she was going to call him out and, really get at him and rile him up. And instead, she just sat there like, oh, I didn't want to cause anything. I'm not trying to come at you. This is just something I wanted to bring up, which was not the way she had told everyone she was going to go about it. And I loved Erica's description afterwards of how the House meeting went, how she was like, we told Ryan, look, we don't like what you're doing. We don't like the strategy and the game that you're going about it. So that's not cool with us. And Ryan goes, yeah, well, tough luck. And we all go, oh, thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much for bringing this up to us. Thank you. Okay, goodbye. And I thought it was so funny, because that really was what it was like, is that Veronica came to Ryan really upset about something. Ryan then flips it and is like, yeah, well, this is the way it's going to be. And you guys all need to be worried about your position as well. And then they all go, okay, well, glad we had this talk. All right, goodbye. It really did not go well for anyone else.
And Veronica gets upset when she gets a tiny bit of pushback, which is such a bad look. And it's hard to tell because she always sounds like she's crying, but she seemed like genuinely just like, oh, how dare you, when Ryan tried to defend himself even a little bit and turn it on her in the tiny bit that we saw. Oh my God, this girl is so annoying with her Bo Derek racist hair. Anyway, sorry.
Calling people out is a very dangerous thing to do in the House, because, before this House meeting, a lot of people were talking about Ryan as somebody that was really sketchy and somebody that they needed to target soon. But that's because perception is reality in the Big Brother house, and the perception was that he was sketchy. He had done something wrong. Nobody could really articulate exactly what he had done wrong, but they just felt bad about Ryan. They thought Ryan, they felt bad things. But then when Veronica tries to articulate it in front of the entire house, you see what she's saying and you go, actually, yeah, that's actually not that bad. He's just he did, nominate his friend for us, and then he tried to play the game a little. He tried to switch the vote a little, but we've all done that too. So this actually isn't that doesn't look as bad anymore now that I'm looking at it in the light of day.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a time in like any reality show where it's been a good idea to call a group meeting specifically to call one person out, especially if you're on the bottom in the way that Veronica is, like if you're not in a position of power. Like, I don't know what the outcome that she or they wanted from this was. It just for like Ryan to feel bad and stop playing, because like it's not like he's exerting so much influence that like they really need to neutralize him. And like you said, like when they started articulating what he actually did wrong, it was like, how dare you not want your best ally out of the house and try to flip the vote, as everyone is going to at some point in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because I guess Veronica said afterwards that the whole reason she did it in the first place was because she came in late to the game and kind of wanted to make a big impression on the show before she ends up leaving.
Yeah.
So like, it really was just for show. It was not for any real strategic purpose.
Yes. All right. So then we get a quick have-not segment where they talk about the have-not room and how uncomfortable it is, and what a great job Big Brother Canada did this season to make these people miserable. Because I don't know, does anybody enjoy these segments? I mean, it's a cool-looking have-not room, but do we like watching people complain about lack of sleep, Melissa?
No. I really think that they need to just like I know this is like a huge portion of the game. Well, it used to be when they used to have the have-not like the food competition and stuff like that. Now it's like it really doesn't matter. I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. And I just feel like if anything, we saw in Celebrity Big Brother that without slop and without the lack of sleep, people play better and they're more exciting to watch. So, I would, shockingly, I never thought I'd say this, but I would be in favor of getting rid of have-nots.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we've talked about that before. I think that it doesn't really add much to the show other than just segregating them into a different room. That's like the most influential part of the whole thing on the game. Then we get a quick segment about the showmances. Hamza's talking about how Derek is with Kayla, and how Veronica has a crush on Will, and Will has a crush on Veronica, which I'm not sure I buy.
These Will storylines, where are they coming from?
And then Will has a crush also on Paris, who has a crush on Jesse, who has a crush on Paris, but Olivia has a crush on Jesse. And I really feel like they made it out to be worse than it actually is, to be honest.
Yeah.
This is taking up so little time on the feeds, especially because like it's so weird that they were like, oh yeah, like this Paris and Jesse thing is like a big thing, but like they're barely together, and then they show the scene where Paris is like, yeah, I'm not gonna go after him, which like there's really not that much like going on between them. By the way, I'm all in on the showmance of all of them. I think Paris and Jesse is really cute. But there's like, it's really taking up so little time and energy, and like that's the only one that's even like real of all of this, besides obviously Derek and Kayla. All the other ones I didn't even like think about. Like, yeah, especially I think these Will ones.
Yeah, I think they really went for just like, oh, look at all the showmances. But the really relevant part was Olivia talking to Paris about, are you interested in Jesse? Because if not, I'm really gonna go for it. I'm gonna try really hard, and then see how it goes, see what happens. And Paris is just like, no, go for it. Totally. But secretly she's like, oh, this is terrible. I need to target Olivia. She's the worst. I need to get her out of the house immediately, which is going to play a large role in the coming weeks, I imagine.
But we don't see that. Sorry to interrupt. But just in confessional, she's not saying like, I must target Olivia. She's just like, oh my God, awkward. Like that's all we see. We see no strategic implications of this on the actual show.
It really it frustrates me that Paris is saying that they need to target Olivia, because she's saying that Olivia is, super pissed at Paris, is going to come after her because Paris is paying attention to Jesse. And it's like, I mean, to be fair, I haven't heard Olivia say that. I mean, and also Paris told Olivia she could go for it. It's like, it's just, it's not a good look to go after Olivia because of a guy. I don't like that at all, and I don't think it looks good, especially when Paris told her, "Yeah, go for it. I don't care about him. I have no interest in him." Which, like, I get why she said that for her game, but then don't go after her because she's interested in your boy. Like, I don't know. It just seems really catty, and it's just a little unfortunate. But I will say that Paris did say, like, "What am I doing? Like, I shouldn't be targeting someone just because they like Jesse," and at least she recognized that. Because really, Olivia's not a big target. She's not. If it was a person who actually was a big target, I'd be like, okay, I get it. You know, you've got to have some sort of reason to go after them besides just that they're a big target. But Olivia, like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if this does become more of a storyline on the show, like how much video evidence they have of Olivia giving Paris the stink eye, which she says she's been getting a lot from Olivia, because the segment that we did see was basically just, Paris and Jesse kind of being awkward when Olivia entered the room and not speaking, and then she left, and that was like, oh my God, can you believe how terrible she just acted toward us? Like, wait, what? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, even an edited
Also,
segment, I didn't really get that vibe.
I did hear, like, I don't know where I saw it or why or what, but I did see that someone said that Olivia does weird stuff with her eyes because of her contacts. They bother her. I don't know if that's true, but they were saying that that was the reason, like that whole gif of her, or I guess I saw it as a gif, the gif of her massaging Paris or whatever, like touching Paris's back or giving her a shoulder up. I don't know exactly what they were doing, but and then and her rolling her eyes behind her was just because her contacts were bothering her, and wasn't that she was giving Paris the stink eye or whatever. I don't know how true that is, but at the same time, I kind of want to give Olivia the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know.
Yeah. We then have a quick segment that I don't think we really needed. I don't think even the show watchers had any hope for Andrew at this point. We had a quick segment where Andrew half-heartedly campaigns to Allie, and she half-heartedly listens. We didn't even see any other segments of her running the idea to anybody else. Nothing was going to change here. Although there was something interesting in this conversation where they're talking about the spot that they're sitting. And Allie says, I'll take that spot from you when you leave, which could be foreshadowing, because a lot of people are looking at Allie as the next potential target. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, everybody who sits in that chair.
Yeah. Maybe. We then see this was an interesting decision by production to show the prank as footage to the house guests on the live show, as hey, you thought this was potentially us. Guess what? It wasn't. It was the have-nots. I assume they asked permission first, or something along those lines, because I know a lot of people are like, hey, that's not fair. They shouldn't be able to reveal this to them. But I don't think they were mad. I don't think this was game-changing by any means. I think they all enjoyed this as a funny little segment, right, Lita?
Yeah, I'm glad they're not getting any more aluminum foil, because it's an environmental catastrophe of a prank.
Well, I mean, okay, so I was thinking about that too, because I was like, that's not really that great that they're showing that. I mean, I like watching it because I always love when they show the house guest footage of themselves, because it's really funny to see them react to it. But my thinking is that because no one was mad about it, and because everyone took it as a really harmless prank, they felt comfortable showing it, whereas they didn't show Condiment Gate, because that would have really hurt Netta's game, because people would have been really mad at her, and she was doing it more maliciously really than they were with the just goofy thing. So yeah, I think that this, because of the vibe surrounding this prank, I think that's why they felt comfortable showing it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, think about the show you're watching. This is the show that had Aika live broadcasted to the house as she's shredding people's letters. They don't really care about the integrity of the secrets that they carry.
Yeah, and last year showing the slop votes.
Of course,
well.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They don't care. They'll show whatever they want to show. Then we get the votes, and it's unanimous. Everybody's voting Andrew out of the house, but we do get some really bad hand signals from Jesse and Derek. I didn't catch. Did Paris do this as well, Melissa? Did you see if Paris did this?
I didn't see if Paris did it.
Paris did it.
Oh, come on, Paris. At least Kayla had the dignity not to. Because the rest of it's just like it's a weird thing in the first place, but then like after a vote, like I vote to evict Andrew. It takes too long. It's awkward. It's weird. I think if anything, they're really helping out the Shield and the Fortress and whoever else because it makes them look a lot better in comparison. But just chill out with the hand signals, especially when they're this bad.
I thought you were going to talk about the speeches as things that are cringy and bad.
Well, don't even get me started on the speeches. We apparently have Mike Boogie back in the house. Hamza channeling his inner Mike Boogie, just really, really going for it and doing a rap as his eviction speech.
Yeah, I had to Google his very Canadian reference to Kyle Lowry. Apparently, he's a player for the Raptors.
The Rappers.
Yes, not the Rappers. He's
the rapper
about the Raptors.
Yes, and we also got Andrew just booking it out of the house as not even waiting for the Arissa to read the final Andrew. As soon as he heard 10-0, he just booked it out of there. Arissa's saying, Andrew, you are evicted as he's on the stairs. She's saying you can say your goodbyes or not, and he's at the door. I think this is the fastest exit we've ever seen, probably even faster than Cody.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little distasteful. I don't know. I just feel go with the process, respect the game, like sit there and let her say by a vote of da 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 da. You've been evicted from the Big Brother house. You don't have to say goodbye to everyone if you don't want to, but to do this whole running out before Arissa even gets to finish, like it's in poor taste, I think, personally.
I don't know. I'm happy with it. Anything to change up the proceedings, I'm fine with. Like, this was different. So like, I was like, I was going in knowing that it was a unanimous vote. So this was just like all like, okay, let's get this on with. But then as soon as Andrew just like books it, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's something I wasn't expecting. So I was happy. But then we get this HOH competition, which looked utterly ridiculous. We have all of the house guests.
Awesome.
It looked like a Mario Party mini game.
It did. Oh my god, it totally did. With the same like imprecise controls, where you have to like press forward and right in order to turn,
or you have to like figure out like, okay, down is forward in this one.
Yeah,
like that's the trick.
So they're all paired up, and the person that wasn't drawn into a pair was Erica, who will be safe for the week, which is pretty big. This is the third week in a row where there are going to be at least one person who is safe from eviction that isn't the HOH or veto winner. And we did get the pairs tweeted out by Big Brother Junkie on Twitter. It's Hamza and Veronica, Ali and Jesse, Maddie and Olivia, Kayla and Derek, Paris and Marin, and Johnny and Will. And
this was random? And Kayla and Derek got put together?
Random choice. So yes, this will be an interesting competition. The feeds have come back. So we know the spoilers. We will be talking about who wins after we address some questions. So just a quick warning, or if you're looking to see who won this HOH, we will be talking about that very soon. But what did you guys think about the concept of this competition, other than the fact that it was a Mario Party ripoff, Alita?
I thought it was so fun. I thought it was really funny to watch, and I liked it, and it was original, and I liked that they were in all these little boxes, and it looked so cute and fun. I was a huge fan of it. I feel like Big Brother Canada always does an amazing job with their competitions, but I was a little confused as to what they were going to do with the pair. Like, is it one of those situations where the pair, and like once the pair wins, they get to pick who's HOH from the pair, or what was going on with that?
Yeah. I think so.
They have to? Oh, I thought they had to do collaborative nominations. I guess I missed this.
Oh no, one person. They've done this before, like where I think it was Joel and Mitch won HOH together, and then they collectively decide who's going to take it, and they did a rock paper scissors where like Mitch intentionally lost. So. I'm pretty, there will be one winner from the pair that wins the competition. So again, the competition design here, great job by all to be had here. Very, very fun, very ridiculous. Let's get some questions in before we talk about the winner of the HOH competition. I had one from Doom Tribe on Twitter about the competition. He says, the competition design was great, but incredibly unfair. Why not wait for a week that had an even amount of competitors? Erica being safe is ridiculous. What do you think about that, Melissa?
I mean, I do agree that why not just wait for a week with an even number of players? It doesn't really make sense that they had to do this now. I don't like the idea of somebody just getting to sit out a week. I always hate that. But if anyone's going to sit out for the week, I'm glad it's Erica.
Yeah, I feel like this would get a much more vocal response if it was someone that was like either maybe going to go up or someone that is not as popular or something like that. But I mean, I think Erica, if you're going to do this thing that a lot of people are going to be annoyed about, like, yeah, this turned out fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they intentionally did it on an odd number of house guests because they wanted somebody to be safe, because that is a twisty thing that they can throw into the game. And if that's the extent of the twists this week, is that one person is safe from nomination, I'm fine with that. I'll take what I can get.
What about America's vote on which game? Which game are you guys voting for? It's catchphrase and a game I've never heard of called Don't Step in It that looks really gross.
I love catchphrase.
Yeah, I love catchphrase too. So those are your options, Canada.
All right, I'm endorsing Don't Step in It. Let's
just
see.
To be contrarian.
Is this big in Canada? Like, I've never heard of this game.
As we know, RHAP controls all fan votes. So I'm sorry to the catchphrase stands that we're ruining the show for you, but Don't Step in It. We're all good for.
I think what we need to start doing is just promoting the choice we don't want. And then whatever we do want, we'll end up winning.
Maybe that's what Taran's doing. Maybe he's a huge catchphrase fan.
Maybe you just called it out, and maybe it's not going to work anymore, guys.
Great. We've broken the system.
All right. We have a couple quick questions from Dominic and then Joseph. Who needs to win HOH the most, and which house guest shouldn't win HOH this week? Quick answers. Lita, what do you think?
Who needs to win it? I mean, do we get only one? I mean,
yes. Who needs it the most?
Allie.
And who should not win it?
Who should not win it? Well, I would say Erica, but she's all good. Do I have to pick a different one? Melissa, you go.
I would say that who needs to win it is Allie, and who should not win it is Paris. I don't think Paris should get anywhere near it because she should not reveal any of her loyalties just yet. I think that if she keeps straddling the middle like she is, then she'll be good for a couple more weeks. But if she wins HOH, that's going to be really tough.
Oh, I also think Marin shouldn't win it at this point.
I think Paris should not come anywhere near this, and I think that Allie really needs it. And the reasoning for that is that as we've been talking about, the Paris and Olivia thing has really lit fire to the house, and it seems like most people are now after Olivia and sort of Allie as well, because for one, Allie is connected to Olivia, and for another, Allie has been talking to Ryan too much, who has been spilling too much information, and the house has turned. And I'm sure that they're going to show all of this. At least I hope they're going to show all of this in future episodes. So let's get into the spoilers so we can talk some more about the winner of this HOH and what we assume that they're going to be doing. So if you don't want to know any spoilers, this is your chance to get out of here. I don't have a song to play for you right now. Hopefully, maybe I'll get it for next time. And then, we can start a dance party and all of that great stuff.
Can you rap it?
Are there words? Yeah.
Yeah, they go, is a spoiler.
Thank you.
Opposite of civil defense.
There we go. That was our spoiler warning. All right. So get out now. This is your chance. Get out of here.
Get out.
We don't want you non-spoiler people.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about who won this HOH. Hamza is our HOH winner, and oh boy, is this gonna be nuts, because As we've talked about, if you've been listening to the live feed updates or even the roundtable, Paris had essentially gotten the whole house rounded up against Allie and Olivia. But the one of the few people who was like, you know what? I'm a lone wolf. I'm going after whoever I want was Hamza. And Hamza wants to target Derek and Kayla. Kayla in particular, it seems. His plan that he talked about on the feeds before the HOH competition was that he would want to nominate Kayla and I think was Olivia next to Kayla, and then hopefully use the veto on Olivia and nominate Derek, and then have Derek and Kayla on the block. I was assuming at the time that he was saying this that he wasn't actually going to win HOH because I didn't think he could win a competition because he boasted so much that he could, and then he never did. However, I still feel like this plan must change. Like somebody has to tell him like, no, you just put them both up at the start. Otherwise, Olivia will go home. So yeah. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here because Hamza's a lone wolf. He's not going to listen to anybody. He has clear targets that would disrupt the entire power structure of the house. However, there's a flaw in his plan and votes could get flipped. And so I think there's a lot of potential for this week, Melissa.
Yeah, definitely. This makes the week exciting. This makes it so, it's not just an easy week. It's not a boring week. Because, if someone like Kayla or Derek had won, we kind of knew what was going to happen this week. And now I'm really glad that that's not the case. So this will be really, really fun to see.
Yeah, this was definitely a best case scenario in terms of good feeds, or at least one of the best case scenarios. And I also think I think that how people approach bringing up that flaw in his plan that you talked about is going to be really interesting, because I think that Hamza is a total lock for HOH-itis. Like, he's going to be so high on himself that he finally won this competition that was so physical that he's been saying he could win all week or all season. So I think that he is not going to be super receptive to any sort of criticism of this plan that he's going to get really high on. So I think how people go about approaching that will be really interesting and will sort of dictate where he goes.
Well, it's also an interesting thing because I think most of the people who understand that it's a bad idea will probably encourage it, because if Paris hears, Kayla and Olivia, no, that's a great idea. You should totally put up Olivia. We'll totally send Kayla home. And I think Paris would definitely choose to stick with Kayla at that point and send Olivia home. And the only people that really do want the showmans to be targeted, people like Marin and Veronica to some extent, I don't know if they have the knowledge to say to Hamza, this is a bad idea, it's not going to work, because they were both saying, oh, that's a brilliant plan, Hamza. That's we would totally do that too. So I feel like this could go through, and again, this could be a very interesting week. We'll just have to see. Maybe Ryan can be the voice of reason.
That would be a shocking turn.
Well, this is why, like, as much as being in a tight pair can get you targeted, if you don't have anyone that you can trust to bounce ideas off of, stuff like this happens. Like when you're a lone wolf that you have no one that you can trust with just like brainstorming, like no one is going to have your best interest at heart to point out the flaws in your logic. Yeah.
Hamza is a true wild card. No idea what he's going to do. Veronica has been talking about, like, should I have taken the HOH? I think they both would have done the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see how this all comes about. I'm sure Veronica will feel like she should have a say in what happens. And I don't know. Does this mean
that Veronica is safe this week? Like, in terms of, does she have immunity this week because she also won the HOH, or does this mean she could go home? Not that he's going to put her up, but could she?
I would assume that she's eligible to go home. I think it would be kind of silly for them to say that she's immune, because I feel like that's the sort of thing Big Brother loves, where it's like, oh, you gave up the HOH to your partner and then they sent you home. What a dummy you are. And yes, Shara says in the chat, Mitch was eligible in that week that he let Joel have it. So it does seem like Veronica is vulnerable, but I don't see Hamza touching Veronica in any way. I think that he is very much set his sights on the power structure of the house, the showmance. He really wants to take a shot there, and it'll be very exciting to see what happens here. I agree. I think that the HOH-itis will be strong. I think that he will be like, I am channeling Canada. I am doing what Canada wants. This really, honestly, I think is the absolute worst thing that could have happened to Hamza's game. I think that he's going to make a huge mistake. He's going to make a huge target of himself by targeting people and then potentially missing his shot. And I also think it's a terrible move for him from the audience point of view, because you're not the underdog if you're the HOH and you're talking about how great you are. It's funny when you're on the outs and you're the lone wolf, but when you're Ryan and you're in the HOH room and you're talking endlessly about how great you are, your stock might drop, Lita.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is this is going to be the third time we've seen this guy who already has a huge ego hyping himself up, get an enormous amount of power. And like between Andrew and Ryan and now Hamza, we'll see if he can continue the streak of it being such a bad look. Just so unlikable.
Yes, there's a question from the BB psychologist who asks, what is the best way for Erica to play this week? Given that she's safe, some other people, Doom Tribe in the chat is asking, will she vote this week? I have no idea. But do you have any thoughts on how you think she should be playing this whole situation, Melissa?
Gosh, it's always tough, but I think that she should be playing it pretty low key this week. I think her best bet is to just lay super low, and not throw herself out there and make it, I just feel like the reason why people got so upset about Netta was that she felt like she could control everything because she felt safe all the time. And once you feel safe, you kind of throw yourself out there more. And I think that Erica just needs to kind of disappear for the week.
Yeah, I was going to make the exact same Netta comparison. Like, winning comps when you are not vulnerable is like not only annoying to other people, but just like completely unnecessarily gets blood on your hands. Like your life in the game is not at stake here. There's no person that you should feel close enough to that you need to win this competition for them.
Yes, and it should be pointed out that as we briefly mentioned, Allie really was saved from this. If Allie doesn't end up on the block, because there's definitely still a possibility that Allie or Olivia could be going home, but it was going to look like they were both going to be on the block, and there was no chance for either of them to, or for the pair of them to stay in the game. However, they definitely have a chance now. I'm almost entirely positive that one of the showmans will definitely be going up, potentially both of them, and they have a shot. They have a shot at staying in the game. So this was a huge win for them, especially given the layout of this competition where Olivia was paired up with Maddie and Allie was paired up with Jesse, where they could the pairs in that situation can just tank the game to make sure the other person doesn't win the HOH. And so this was basically an impossible HOH for Allie to win, especially being paired up with Jesse. So this was like the next best outcome for the pair of them. I think there's nobody better for them to have won HOH, despite the fact that one of them still might be leaving this week, Melissa.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they wanted any chance to both stay, this is what they should have been hoping for. So I think this is good because we don't know what's going to happen this week. It's not an easy week. It's not a done deal yet. We have no idea who's going home. So that's really exciting. That's what you really always want in an HOH, is to have an exciting week and not have it all laid out right from the second they get HOH.
Yes. All right. Let me know if you guys have any ideas for the hashtag for this podcast, and send me any last minute questions you have if you want us to address them. Do you guys have anything else that you want to bring up before we wrap this up?
No, this was a fun episode. I don't know, like as much as I complained about some of the Lara Croft stuff and the showman stuff, I don't know. I like seeing character building. I do just think it was a little bit misdirected to the people that I don't necessarily think are the biggest characters. Like, I think they're allocating the time in the right way, where I do want to see these little fun, quirky scenes. I just want to see them from the people that I think are more interesting.
Yeah, And some more strategy stuff would be fun. So
yeah, just a little more.
Yeah, a little more. Look, every single live feed update this week has been like 40 minutes, 50 minutes long because there's so much going on, except for, of course, the one that was like 13 minutes long. I'm seeing hashtag fillers. Let me know if there's anything else. Yes. Make sure you check out our live feed update tomorrow morning. I will be live with Puya again to update you on everything that's going on tonight. We'll probably have the new nomination plans and plans for the week. So lots of interesting stuff to be updated there. I will hopefully be talking with Andrew tomorrow for the exit interview. Make sure you check that out as well. And of course, Rob will be back Monday night after the Monday night episode of Big Brother Canada, and he will be recapping everything going on there. And of course, make sure you check out the Taran show with Rennie Martin. You can't miss Rennie. Have you listened to that, Lita?
Not yet, but I loved her tweet where she spelled your name with a Y. She kind of Renified it.
Which is funny because we had a whole conversation about the spelling of my name.
Yeah. I haven't gotten to it yet, but also check out American Ninja Warrior.
Of course, yes. We recorded a USA versus the World special, and we're going to be talking about the Ninja versus Ninja that was airing as we did this podcast. So lots of fun stuff there. Have you guys seen a hashtag that you like?
Oh, I'm not in the chat. Does that make me a bad podcaster?
It does make you a bad podcaster.
It distracts me. I'm too interested in what people have to say.
Spectral mess.
Yes, your punishment is that I'm seeing Lita Wrapped is a hashtag in the chat. So.
Oh, it's like all of my social media handles.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, that's excellent.
Okay. All right. So thank you guys for joining us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. I'm at Armstrong Taran. Lita is at Lita Tweeted. Melissa is at It's Melissa with 3 A's. For Lita and Melissa, I am Taran Armstrong. Hashtag Lita Wrapped. We'll see you next time.